Good evening, everybody. My name once again is Ayo Jato, and thank you, everyone, and KB for the privilege to actually be here talking to everyone today. Um, I will be talking quickly about something that's very dear to my heart, um, and it's about excelling at the workplace. In 2 seconds, I'll be bringing up my course slides. However, before I actually bring on my slides, let me tell you the reason why I'm really passionate about this. Growing up, when I was in school, in my profession, I realized there was actually a lack or a dearth of people of my background in leadership capacity or leadership roles in my field. And I thought, do you know what? Why is this happening? What's the reason for this dearth? In my digging and searching around, I came across several things, and hopefully, as we go along, by God's help, I'll be able to share with you the things I've actually learned. Okay, so bear with me. Let me bring up the slides now. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, and are you seeing the slide?
I do see the slide.
Fantastic. Okay, so the picture here, it's not a picture that is strange to most people. The gentleman all of us can see is known for several things. One of the things is known for, two of the things is actually known for, is he's been the first person in human history to have 5 awards of being the best player the best soccer player in the whole world, and he's had 4 consecutive titles. No one's ever done that before. He's also been the first person to have 3 golden boots. No one's ever done that before. But in delving further into this guy's history, he was the same guy who was born to average parents. They similarly had not a lot. In fact, when he was young, he was diagnosed with something called growth hormone deficiency disease, meaning he was meant to be stunted. However, all of this did not stop him. By the way, some of you that know him, he's called Lionel Messi, and he's the most decorated football player, soccer player on the face of the earth. Now, Messi is at the pinnacle of his career, pinnacle of his work, for a reason. And we're going to be looking at this reason very soon. If I go to the next one, actually, let me just quickly say, when I was going through this patch, when I was thinking and ruminating on why do we have, the people of my background, why are they not here? I stumbled across this fact from this lady here, which possibly all of us have probably heard of before, a lady called Oprah Winfrey. And Oprah said something. She said the biggest deterrent to sexism and racism is excellence. What does that mean? Coming from someone who's had a baby when she was 14 or when she was in a teenagers anyway, Oprah said, it doesn't matter your color, doesn't matter your gender. If you're excellent, if your product tick all the right boxes, you would fly. And I summarized that personally to mean balloons don't rise because of their color. Balloons will never rise because of their color. So, Messi said it, Messi's doing it, Oprah's doing it, and we all, as God's children, can do even better. Why am I saying we can do better? Very simple. Those people, those of us who've actually are students of theology, we've probably heard of something called the law of first mention, meaning to understand biblical text. The first time something was mentioned has a long way to go in understanding what the principle actually stand for. And the first time, I believe, the first place work was actually mentioned in the Bible, on the biblical text, was Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. And it basically, I'm just paraphrasing, saying God created the land, water, a couple of things before man, and it made man and put man in that garden and said to that man, tend it, work it, cultivate it, make it better. That's God's original idea. He created work for man to release his purpose. Either your own work or even working for somebody. It was not something that originated from man or from men. It started with God Almighty. Above that, it's very important to also know what actually predates man's introduction to work was God's own work in Genesis chapter 1. And the scripture says something which I find very interesting. And it's the fact that every single work God made, every single thing he created was good, was excellent, was outstanding. In fact, the Message translation says everything he created was pleasurable, pleasant to view. And we have the same DNA, we have the same grace, the same ability that makes God is residing inside of us. As I was preparing for this, I was just thinking, okay, let's actually think about people who've made this happen, people who've actually embodied excellence. And I remember the story of Daniel. I remember the story of the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were actually boys according to the text, but they were competing with men, and the scripture says they were 10 times better, all because of an excellent spirit in them. Now, fast track to the New Testament, New Covenant, as we would call it. We have a better covenant. The guys that had, when I say the guys, I mean Daniel and his colleagues, who basically had the old covenant. They were being said they were said to be 10 times even better than contemporaries who were actually older than them in age and who had the privilege of growing up in that culture. Some of them who had the privilege of being, well versed in the language, and on and on and on. They came in from a different land. They came in from a foreign land, and yet history account says they were 10 times better. And what made them this 10 times better? We're going to be looking at, I will be sharing things things I've learned, and things I've actually been able to do to get to this level. So the next slide here, let me tell you a little personal story. So when I was a trainee, by the way, my profession is a pharmacist, and when I was a trainee pharmacist, I had to work with a very challenging, or I wouldn't say horrible, but was a very challenging boss I had back then. It became so bad that waking up on Monday after having a relaxing bank holiday was very, very difficult. And I was emaciating, losing weight. I was just so frustrated waking up and saying, oh, am I going to go to work again today? I don't want to do this. However, all through my hating Mondays, dreading to actually wake up on Monday to go to work, something happened to me. And that's just one of the things I'm going to be sharing with you. It was just 3 words that flicked up in my spirits. And the words were, be the change. Be the change you want to see. Be the change I am. Don't think about your boss as horrible. Don't think about the environment that's not conducive. You be the change you want to see. And I also realized there's what to be and there is what to do. Incidentally, as I was preparing, I came across something from one of my most respected mentors. And he said something. He said, most heart attack that happens all across the world happens more on Monday than any other day. Now the question is, why? Could this be linked to people just dreading to go to work? Could it be linked to several reasons? However, people do dread Mondays, but some people, and I believe everyone actually listening, by the end of this presentation would actually have a different mental attitude and say, listen, enough with the old, I'm in with the new. So come with me. This slide here, I'm going to talk about the things I've had to be, which I think is very, very paramount in people being able to succeed, excel, dominate our work in a good way. When I say dominate, I mean it in a very, very good way. I care. Right, before I go on, let me just do a sense check to make sure you can all hear me. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, although your slide is not moving.
The slide's not changing.
Yeah, the slide is not changing just yet.
Which one? Which one are you stuck on?
So we're seeing the first slide, seeing Bessie. So you can kindly have to do that. Thank you.
Okay, please tell me when it's moved now, because I've moved a couple. So is this still the same one?
Yes, it is. So if you move the slide on your PowerPoint,
okay,
then we should see it. We should see the transition.
Okay.
Or at best, you can actually show your face. So you can talk to the slide.
Okay. Bear with me, everyone. I'll see.
Yeah, good. So it's moving now. Yeah. So
okay. So can you see Messi now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see. Yes, it's moving now. Good.
Okay, so I'll probably leave it on this page so everyone can actually flow with me on this view. I've tried the full screen, but probably for some reason it's not worked properly. Okay, so I've mentioned what Oprah said, and this is the slide from Oprah. I've mentioned about God's thought about work, how He wants us to be above only, and also because we have God's DNA. Everything He can do, everything He's done, we're expected to reproduce because we've come from Him. Okay, I've just changed the slide to the next one. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. We're on the same page now. Okay. So I was talking about hating Mondays earlier on, how people say, I hate Mondays, how most heart attacks happen on Mondays. And that could be due to people dreading to go to work, people dreading to work with someone in particular, and for different reasons, and how my mindset has changed because of 3 words. 3 words I heard in my spirit called be the change. Don't wait for someone else to change. It can start from you. And in changing, what was the things I had to change? I had to change 2 key things, 2 cardinal things. What I was to be and the things I was to do. Those 2 things. And this really helped me from being someone as a trainee in my profession a couple of years ago to someone who is doing a lot better, significantly better at my present position. So this was what I was before about the core values that's helped me, the things I've actually been, has made me a lot better, significantly better, relevant. Let me use that word, to be a lot more relevant in my current place. So I call this 5 values. I care. It's integrity, communication, accountability, respect, excellence. Integrity, because I had to the first thing I had to do was, okay, my word must be the same as my action. Anybody can talk. Anybody can. It's easy. I think talking is the easy part. But are you able to back up your talk with action? Are you able to make things happen after you've said it all? Integrity, being sacrosanct with your word, being indivisible with your words and action, being one. Communication Communication is not just talking, it's listening. It's been able to influence people through words, through action, through belief system, through body language. I was able to change that. I'm going to talk about communication in a few more minutes. Accountability, meaning if I'm in charge of something, if I've been asked to do something, see it through. Own it. Whatever task you've been given or work, own it. Research, learn about it. Ask people. Own the project. Don't just wait for something to happen from somewhere. Own it. Number 4, respect. Respect yourself. Get to work on time. Respect other people. Colleagues, subordinates, higher uppers. Respect people. And the lastly, excellence. I had to be excellent. Meaning my signature had to be excellent. I mean, if you put my work next to someone else's work, people can easily say, that's from Aya, because we know him to be an excellent person. So those 5 things, which I can count on one hand, became the core things I had to change myself. I had to be a person of integrity. I had to be a person who can communicate, to influence people. I own projects, meaning I'm accountable. Respect people. Much more importantly, to be excellent. Those 5 things made me relevant from being someone that was just, starting off when I started, to be someone that's a lot relevant in my field today. Let me move on to, apart from being, let me move on to the things I now have to start doing, working with different cadres of people. Again, like Albert Einstein said, the problems you create at one particular level, the solution can never be at the same level. Meaning, if you're having a level 1 problem, the solution has to be level 2 minimum. And I had to just move from just a thought problem and bring my solution into doing solution. I moved from being a thought problem to solving the problem by action. So what did I have to do? Working under people. So realize, fine, I'm working under these people. Actually, before going on, is anybody, KB, can you hear me and everyone else?
Yeah, we still can hear you.
And it's okay, the slides changing okay, yeah?
Yeah, the slides are changing. And can I just request that if anyone wants to make a contribution or even ask a question, it would be very much appropriate. And I can see Olabode here saying, I remember coming across this eye care in a hospital where I was an intern. So yes, that is resonating very well.
Fantastic. Okay, if there's any question, please feel free to stop me, and I'll be able to. I'll attempt to answer them. Okay. So in working on the different people, I picked up some few tips, which really helped me. Alistair Campbell, who was known to be one of the ex-prime minister of this country. Alistair was known as a spin doctor for Venerable Tony Blair, and Alistair was known to always make his boss look very good. And this is not human washing. This is not trying to make someone big-headed. This is trying to make sure at your core, don't go out of your way to make your boss look bad. Don't denigrate him, because if it comes back, it can come back to bite you. That's so true for me. It's so true, because guess what? People talk. And things you think you're just saying in private will get out. That's the truth. Make your boss look good. Give him the advantage. Be a person with positive energy. I'm just going to quickly read off and probably explain Acts 1 or 2 if I need to. Be a person with positive energy. This is so crucial. The reason being, your bosses or my bosses or our boss, they're also humans. And sometimes they get tired. Sometimes they need people they can bounce ideas off. You've got to be around to be that person. Don't be one of those who sap energies from your boss. Now, Jude verse 6 said something. He said, the angels who kept on their first estates, to them God has reserved the blackest darkness and basically put them in prison. You need to realize your boss is not your friend. It could be nice to you, it could be lovely to you. Know your boundaries. Don't cross the line. I found this to be very, very helpful. Even when you're trying to make jokes, when you're trying to say things, when you're trying to just talk to them, make sure you know your boundaries carefully. Be circumspect. That's the word, really. Be circumspect. And if anybody ever read the book of, historical figure, or even in the Bible about Daniel, there was a time when Daniel was going to be killed alongside the wise men, and the king said, "Right, let's kill all these wise men." But Daniel knew something. He knew he may not be able to get to the king. However, he could speak to the support staff called Arioch. And by just speaking to the support staff who knew how to get to the king, he spoke to Arioch with tact and understanding. He was able to buy time and avert loss of his own life and the loss of the lives of his colleagues. Be nice with your support staff. Sometimes it's just the secretary who knows what the mood, it will tell you the mood the boss is in for that day. And that could go a long way in saying, "Oh, I'm just here to submit my proposal." The secretary, if you're nice to them, if you're close to them, could tell you, "Oh, maybe not a good time to come in, not a good day to go. Boss has got something personal going on." Next one, shield them, protect them. They make mistakes like everyone else. Don't be the one to try to point out their problems, their faults. Protect them. And this, some of you probably find this funny. I heard a story about a genie who actually appeared to three people. One was the boss, one was the marketing manager, and the third one was the operations manager or thereabouts. Now the genie could grant any wish you want, and the genie said to them, "Right, guys, you can all make one. You can all, each of you can make one choice." And in their wisdom, so that instead of them to allow the boss to go first, they said, "Oh, I'll go first." Okay. So the genie said to the operation manager, "What do you want?" And the guy said, "I'd like to be in Maldives. I like to be on the Maldives now. I really want to be on holiday." And the genie said, "Okay, fine, granted." Hey, Pristo, he landed there in a minute. The second person said, "Oh, he's going for holiday. Right, I'd like to go for an all inclusive holiday as well in some Indian Ocean place as well." The genie said, "Hey, Pristo, here you go." Same thing happened. Now, don't forget, it was three of them. And the third person was the boss. And the boss in his wisdom said, "Okay, so you've not honored me. You've not allowed me to have the first speak. It wasn't being vindictive or anything, but it's just a lesson for people to learn." And he said to the genie, "I want both of them to be back now." And guess what happened? The genie also had to grant the boss's wish, and both of them had to come back from their holidays. The lesson from there is give the honor, defer to your boss. Even when you think you've got better ideas, pick your moment, be circumspect. Allow them to go first. It helps. Honor does rewards. If you're thinking about reading more about honor, there's a book by John Bevere called Honor Rewards. It's very, very instructive. So now you've gone to working under people. You've now been promoted. They've asked you to do more for work. You're now working in a team. You're working with people. But before I go on to working with people, let's see if there's any feedback, any question from anyone. If I can bring KB back on.
Well, we don't have a question just yet. I presume that the leaders are putting their thoughts together. So that
Okay.
come by way of text messaging through the chat or by voice.
Fantastic. Okay. So, working with people. I found this acronym very useful, which is TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. The power of one is, it's a great, great message that's often been preached several times in seminars and churches and motivational stakes and things like that. However, what I want to present as one today is actually several people working as one. In his book, Patrick Lencioni, in his book titled The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick said something, and I quote here, he said, "Not finance, not strategy, not technology. It's a teamwork that remains the ultimate, it is teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage, both because the powerful and because they're so rare. I believe it's so rare, and in my working life, which has it's spanned almost a decade, really, I've come to realize to get people to work as a team is rarer than anything else you can think of in a workplace, because everyone wants to be noticed, everyone wants to be promoted, everyone has the me syndrome, me, I. But the truth remains, those who've learned to work with a team become so valuable. If projects would happen, let's say in head office, regional office, people you've worked with excellently would refer you. They'll be the same ones who say, "Oh, I've worked with KB before. This guy is a team player. This guy would be an asset to your team." It's so funny. Incidentally, the prayer Christ prayed in John 17:21 for his disciples said, "Make them one, as I am in you and you are in me." Now, let me just point something out quickly. It's very simple. It's the fact that if you have water in a glass, you don't have one thing, you have two things. You have water and the glass. Make them one that Christ was talking about, it's different. He says, "As you are in me and I am in you." The glass is not in the water, it's water in the glass. Now, if you would have a good team, you'd need to think about like the cake. Your when you get your final cake, the, what makes oil is gone, what makes butter is gone, what makes salt is gone. All those things have gone. All you now have is a cake, a taste of the cake. However, having said that, how do you maintain your individuality? How do you make sure, yes, you want to be part of a great team, but I still want to be, I don't want to lose my essence. Joel chapter 2, verse 7 to 8 talks about each one going ahead in their lane, not brushing the other person, knowing their place, staying there, staying in the focus. And the best way I can put this is what revolutionized production in America, especially with the Ford cars. Henry Ford, who made the first commercial viable cars, the Model T, he started a process called compartmentalization. And in compartmentalization, very simple. It means one person's responsible for making a windshield, someone is making the door mirror, someone's making the bodywork, someone's doing the engine, and what needs to happen is just a production wheel, a production spin, who goes around. Once it gets to a particular workstation, the guys in there who specialists in that area do the part. Now, don't forget, remember, people or leaders, we're all working on a single project, one team, one car, one goal. However, it's been compartmentalized, meaning people have different responsibility. Also, for yourself, when you're working, know your role, know what you're accountable for. Again, let's remember accountability. Don't try to do the windshield when they've asked you to do the door mirror. Know your lane. And be involved. Don't just stand aloof. Don't just sit. Don't have the mentality of we against them. Get involved. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. In short, being a team player is not just, like I said earlier on, it's not just for now. It's even for people you've not come across yet, because referral, word of mouth travels faster than you could ever travel. So now you've worked on the people, you've worked with people, and guess what? You've done really well. Someone's recommended you, promotions come, and now you're working through people. Now, in working through people, I thoroughly, personally enjoy this because I've chosen the word carefully. Now, note we don't work, so to say, above people. We work through people, getting results through people, and it's what I call the Jesus model. And what's the model? Very simply, in the Gospel of John, it says, When I eventually leave, I will get more results through you people talking about the disciples than when I'm actually around. Meaning, I'm one person, and he said something about a grain of wheat when it eventually dies, it becomes bigger, it becomes greater in influence. How does this happen? How could this happen when you're not even there? And that's Jesus' model, working through people. In he talks about um, motivating your staff, being an example to people. Now, I once heard in a seminar I attended, someone asked a question. She said, "How many people here would like people to work for you free?" All hands went up. How many people would like people to work for you free and also be willing to die for you? All hands went up. And guess the caveat. The question then was, you have to be willing to go first. That's Jesus' model. You want people to work for you free, you want people to happen, you've got to be the change you want to see in people as well. You've got to set the example. 2 Timothy 2:2 says, the things I've the things I've taught you, teach other people, who would in turn teach other people. Meaning, when you working, you're not trying to hoard information. You're trying to build other people up. You're trying to develop people. Because what you can do, having 10 people, 20 people that you've also unleashed the potential, can never be compared with what you, no matter how good you are, it's never comparable to what you can do in a multiplied scale when you've multiplied yourself in people. Now, in also leading people, leading organization, you have to have a bias for action. As Henry Ford once said, nobody can build a reputation on what you will do. You've got to be someone that's not just talk a great talk. You must back it up with action. You must be okay. I'm not just going to stand here and talk. I will be willing to back it up with action. Um, Very important when we also for those of us who've come from a culture where valuing people is not sacrosanct, is not core in our core values. Let me just put something in perspective from one of my most revered mentor, um, Dr. David Oyedepo. He once said, "Without vision, the people perish," according to Scripture. However, without the people, the vision will suffer. Meaning, even when you now have your own business, people working under you, you're working through them, you need people. Sometimes it make you annoyed, sometimes they do things to really annoy you, but the vision still needs people. We've got to learn how to work with them. And how do you learn how to work with people? It's something I learned from Ken Blanchard in his book called Situational Leadership. It was co-authored with another gentleman in America. He talks about four main ways to actually work through people. He said some people, you tell them. Some people, you mentor them. Some people, you coach them. And some people, you delegate to them. Now, in applying situational leadership, some people have high skill, high will. They have skill and they have the will. What do you need to do? Delegate. Some people have no skill, no will. What do you need to do? You need to tell them. Literally hold their hands and show them, tell them. Some people need mentoring because they're lacking confidence. And some people have a bit of confidence, just need more support, just a bit of coaching conversation. So it's knowing how to apply situational leadership because there's no one rule fits all in leadership, I believe. Knowing how to apply the right things per time. Now, I've shared about how I went from hating Mondays to loving work. And I've tried not to talk about me too much. However, in being things about integrity, communication, being excellent, being respectful, in doing things to do under working under people, working with people, working through people, I believe at the heart of everything I've said today is this little um, interlocking wheels or intersecting wheels I've put together here. and I've tagged it, let's go to the top. If you notice, all of these circles can actually, there is a meeting point in them. At the core of excellence, at the very core of being the best, at the very core of excelling at work, is the excellent spirit. So everything I've said earlier on, everything I've said for the last 30 minutes, what makes everything work perfectly is the excellent spirit. And guess what? We already mentioned it earlier on. We have the same DNA, the same makeup, the same genetic makeup that's been in God when He created His work and everything was excellent, everything was great. We have the same inside of us. And that's what makes this possible. In case someone is listening to me and thinking, well, it's easy for you to say it. You've been doing your job for, almost 10 years. You're an expert, you're a savant. You know what you're doing now. No. I dare say nobody starts from the top. The only thing that starts from the top is the grave. But what we all have in common is the excellent spirit, which is the DNA of God inside of all of us. The core things, I believe, in addition to all the things I've learned, I've also picked up from some, key points or key points as to making me or making anyone for that matter, really, to be excellent at work. Number one, dress up. That sounds a bit hippie or a bit hyper. However, I'm gonna drive it home very soon, but in a minute, let me just do a bit of sense check to make sure we are all together. KB, please, can you still hear me?
Very well.
Okay.
And you can
Dress
still
up.
slides.
Right. Fantastic. A great mentor of mine and a lot of Christians around the world, Archbishop Bentley DeHosa once said something. He said, "The way you dress is the way you are dressed." And my interpretation of what he said was actually in the book of First Samuel. Samuel was a great prophet, which was it was known all across Israel. And it was a time the Lord said to him, "Right, go to the house of a man called Jesse, anoint one of his kids to be kings, to be king." And as soon as they saw the firstborn, this is so funny to me. As soon as they saw the firstborn called Eliab, he said, "Wow, surely the Lord's anointed." And the Lord said something very, very, very instructive. He said, "Man looks at the outward appearance. God looks at the inside." But guess what? The first statement really caught my attention. Man looks at the outward appearance. People do size you up from the way you dress. So dress up. Look the part. Don't look tacky. Don't go to work and make people, in you, a customer thinking, "Oh, maybe she's a janitor or a gatesman." There's nothing wrong with it. However, even if you have the entry level, whatever entry level job you're doing, dress the part. Look smart. You've got one shirt, so whatever, iron it, make it look good, make it look sharp. Number two, skill up. Skill up. Learn. Go for seminars. And don't forget, there's a reason why the cutting edge gets the most action, and that's because it's sharp. So sharpen up. Get a mentor. Learn. Try to be a savant. SAVANT, someone with a specialized skill in something, in a unique body of knowledge. Move from just being an entry level, go through mentorship, go through ownership, be a savant. Learn all there is to learn about your particular field. Skill up. The scripture says, "Have you ever seen a man who's skilled at his job and someone that is diligent? He will stand before kings and be recommended before great people and not before ordinary people." Number three, your mentality. I once heard our convener, KB, once said something which I think is so powerful. It stuck with me ever since that day he said it. He said, "Your mentality is more important than your spirituality." And I personally think is one of the most important statements I've heard this year. And it's the fact that you can be spiritual, you can have all this understanding. If your mentality always drags you down, guess what? Christ himself, Jesus himself said, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. Not as a man prays, as a man thinks in his heart. So I'll put it back to you. Your mentality is so important, more important than your spirituality. Have a CEO mentality. If that was your business, would you walk back? Would you walk past that problem? Now, in my current place of work, I'm privileged to lead a team of about 20 people. I say to them when we have a morning meeting, never walk past the problem. That's one of the rules we have at work. So, meaning, if you see something outlying that's not where it should be, don't walk past it. Don't try to look at, oh, it's not me, it's this person, it's that person. No, correct it straight away. Have an ownership mentality. Number four, and this is for all of us who are leaders in the house, emotional intelligence. And that's the ability to be the ability to be able to manage your emotion and also the emotion of those around you, to know about what's going on in their minds, what's if you notice something changing in their face, if you notice a demeanor, kind of a different demeanor to them, be quick enough to pick it. Be quick enough to pick body language. Learn emotional intelligence. You know, if you want to read, there's so much information about emotional intelligence, but quickly, five key things under that is self-awareness, self-regulation, um, being able to motivate people, having empathy. Just those little things goes a long way, especially empathy and social skills. It goes a long way in being a leader. If you want to get to the very top, you would need to be emotionally intelligent. So you've skilled up, you're dressing up, you have the right mentality, but you also need to be able to manage your emotions and the emotion of those you work with. The next one is communication. Aristotle once said something which I think is so important. He said the art of communication has three main parts, and that's ethos, which is who you are, pathos, which is how you say the things you say, and logos, which is what you're actually saying. So communication to be effective, you have to be a person of integrity. I mean, before your words become acceptable, your person must precede your word. People must accept you. Number two, you must convey the word with clarity, with uh, empathy, with zest. And lastly, under communication, your content also must connect. Learn to communicate. Research has shown humans speak about 150 words a minute and can hear about 450 words a minute. So do practice reflexive listening. One of the things I tend to do at work is when someone talks, I can sometimes ask them. I actually try to make sure my first sentence is like a summary of the person's last sentence. So someone says to me, "Oh, do this, do that. Oh, these are my problem." Just for me to show them I'm actually listening. I say, so you mean, so you said. If I'm getting it right, this is what you mean. The next one, leadership. I, I can't overflog leadership. All of us are great leaders with potential to even be better leaders. Keep leading. But what I want to quickly stress here is personal leadership. Great to have leadership leading through people, which all of us aspire to be, but learn to also lead yourself. The wisest man that ever lived said, "The man that can rule his own spirit is stronger than the one that conquers a city." Learn how to rule yourself. Learn how to lead yourself, starting from leading yourself to get up in the morning, leading yourself to walk away from conflict, leading yourself to walk into or motivating team. And lastly, we talked about this earlier on, teamwork, collaboration, making sure people see you as an asset, not as a lone ranger. And I believe personally, if you do these things, in addition to the things you've also learned in your working life, the top is just your starting point. Okay, at this point, I'd like to bring KB in and for us to have more conversation and talk about things more.
Wow,
Um,
wow, wow. That was exquisite. Well, thanks so much, AY. I'm sure all of our friends and leaders also want to say a thing or two just to appreciate Ayo for putting that in very concise and precise ways. Thank you very much, Iwai. I would just kind of echo your voice. You did mention about you said a lot around teamwork, and
Yeah.
talking about teamwork, there's a quote that I have somewhere. It says, "I will do my part and graciously allow others to do theirs. I am not the team, I'm only a member." Simply put, at best, each one is just a spoke on the wheel. And so one does not make a team. And the more we can do things together with other people, the better. And you can see that all that you mentioned, self-awareness, emotional intelligence is very key. No, I remember the story of this gentleman, Joe. Joe was, was in a desperate situation, but somehow he was still able to observe what was going on around him. And he saw this gentleman and said, "Hey, how are you doing today? What's going on?" Now he was in a desperate situation, so he could wallow in self-pity. But he said, "Okay, no, let me put the attention on some other people." And then he said, "Hey, what's going on?" And the guy said, "Oh, you know what? I had a nightmare." and then ultimately, the problem, what was a problem for some other people, became his own opportunity. And that is something I wanted to land there, that leaders look for problems, because in the mind of a leader, a problem is called opportunity.
Absolutely.
Last week, you probably remember Yemi was echoing that in the Chinese, is it Japanese or Chinese language, the same word for problem is the same word for opportunity. Now, it's the way you see it. Do you see it as something that's stifling, that is limiting, or, oh, wow, I can do something about this? So, yes, I really echoed, I just wanted to echo your voice. Maybe just to, in fact, I made a few notes as you were speaking. And I'm sure other leaders, they want to say a thing or two. You can do so by using the chat facility, or you can, in fact, request to speak, and we can bring you up. As you were saying that, I wrote this down. A good leader will add to his productivity by raising followers. But a great leader will multiply his productivity by raising leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And a leader who develops leaders is a leader that would be unlimited. Absolutely. Because your influence simply multiplies. Anyway, that was beautiful. That was excuse me. And the good thing is we have this recorded. So if you want to listen to it again, it will be available to you on our YouTube channel. Let me also mention that we also have a Facebook page, so you can actually connect with us there. We have about 100 members of different parts of the world on the team, from Philippines, from the US, from Canada, from the Caribbean, from around Europe. So you can actually be part of a global team, and you can make your presence really felt. Buki was saying that we can hear you. We can hear you, yes. So thanks for letting me know that. In the meantime, if you have a contribution or a question for our speaker, please, why don't you write that through the chat facility, or you can send in your message through the WhatsApp page, or through the can request to speak. Buki here is just saying that was awesome. Yeah, so
thank you.
So the point, and I could say some other comments here, that be willing to go first, or be willing to set the example. Yeah. So thank you very much. So I can see the other friends and leaders echoing your voice. So well, thank you very much. We have about 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Now, if there is no question, I'm going to ask a question.
Please.
I do like to ask questions. Now, now, in your view,
Yeah.
what was the most challenging thing you faced as growing up in your career and profession?
Honestly, that's a brilliant question, and it's almost like I've got a ready-made answer.
Yeah, go on then.
It's my mind. It's my mindset.
Right.
My mindset. It's the mindset that would stop me. That make me think, oh, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'll be accepted. I don't think I'll sound smart enough. I don't think I can. Even though I had all the grades, I had all the grades you can ask for. I just don't think I can do it. I don't. Just mindset, mentality.
Now let me ask a question. What, in your view, was or is responsible for that mindset? Just in case there is somebody out there who is also, aspiring to do great things, but is thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I can't. What in your view, would be responsible for that sort of mindset?
Someone once said you are. Someone wrote a book and said you are what you eat. And can I just say, it's the same is true for your mind. You are the way you think is what you're feeding your mind on. So if you're exposing your mind to thoughts or to information about, well, it's enough to be a good follower. Well, just take things easy. Leadership is not for people of your color, people of your background. Those things inherently have a way to limit you. It would have. Listen, there's no other way around it. If you keep feeding your mind with or still moving around people or with people who will tell you, well, it's not for a couple of people like us, it's not people of our background, on and on and on. The direct correlation would be your mindset would be of that same negative spin. So, if I can say this very strong, get off those relationships, get off those associations, surround yourself with people who would feed you with words of positivity, possibility, I can do.
Yeah, thank you. That's very beautiful. Do you know, as you were speaking, I just remember that in 1995, when I actually started working, uh, I was working in a farm,
Mm.
in a farm, livestock, and the rest of it. And the very first farm I worked in, I had a very bad attitude.
Mm.
You could say a sense of privilege that why should I be working here? I shouldn't be here and all that. But somehow, in the intervening period, my mind changed. So
Mm.
when I went to my second job, yet another farm, and I changed my mind. And by 7 a.m., just imagine that was 25, 21 years ago. I would be right in the workplace, already working by 7 a.m.
Mm. Mm.
And effectively, what changed was just my mind, not the circumstance, not.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
But probably
Yeah.
the work content even grew a bit more. But
Yeah.
the thing that where I was going was this. Before I left the farm, I had the ears of the owner. So I became the advisor to the.
Absolutely.
So because the man trusted me so much, I
Absolutely.
literally owned the whole farm, and I'm a very young man, but I took charge of nearly everything.
Wow.
To the
Wow.
extent the man could trust me with just about anything.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
that is something I just wanted to add, just to echo what you mentioned about all the having a sense of ownership.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Makes sense.
Wow. I have another contribution here from Law, and it says just to add on empathy, liken it to the golden rule, and also to say people follow those who genuinely care for them.
Mm-hmm.
People don't care how much you know until you show how much you care for them. It's an attribute I use as well. Well, thank you, Lord. Thank you for putting that out. Thank you very much.
Mm.
So you can. I mean, that's what Law has just mentioned.
I
The,
agree. Totally. Totally.
the
Spot
place of
on.
empathy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that also talks about emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
because emotional intelligence actually is a nice word for for empathy or love, which is to to know your place and to also know the place of other people.
Absolutely.
And relate with them on that basis.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much, Lord. We are a minute to the top of the hour when we bring this conversation to a close. But I'm seeing some feedback. Fantastic, awesome, beautiful session. Man looks at the outward appearance. If there's any more contribution, please say so. And I will turn the mic to AY to just give us final comments.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for the privilege to share. As this medium is for leaders and all of us, the great thing about leadership is this: leaders are not just born, leaders are made. And you can increase your leadership capacity, starting from leading yourself to leading groups and leading organizations. Those who lead multinational conglomerates, they're humans like you. If you start from, this is what I think is the formula. Change your mentality, put action with your belief, leave the rest to God, to providence, whatever word you want to use. Once your mentality aligns, don't forget, as a child of God, you already have the excellent spirit inside of you. Once you align your thoughts to the excellent spirit, back it up with action, the sky is the limit. Honestly, I've seen this work for me personally, and I'm not. KB knows what I'm talking about. I just don't want to speak too much about myself, but that's the truth. Change your mentality, put action behind it. The sky is the limit.
Absolutely. Those are words of a practitioner, and that just adds credibility to the words. Thank you very much, AY. And let me just quickly say thank you to all of our friends that have joined us tonight. Pastor D, our Elizabeth, George, Adeshewa, Olabode, Buki, Tenny, Law. Tenny should be on the admin. Anyway, I like what to do. Law, Buki, Lami, Bola, Ebenezer, Clement, Baku, join us for the first time. And so I say very warm welcome to you, Elizabeth. I say, this is hunger. This is proof of hunger. You know, the proof of desire is pursuit. And I can see constant pursuit, a little here, a little there, and we are changing. All of us are being transformed through this input. And can I also invite anyone who wants to follow in AY's footsteps to come and talk to us? Yeah, you can style it, you can make a conversation, an interview, that's fine. But come on, leaders learn to speak. Your ideas do not benefit others if you keep them to yourself. Yeah, so get ready, and no pressures, but when you're ready, so thank you all and have a good night. God bless you. Keep growing.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.